Hi, I'm Dawn, and this is where Shabby meets Bling. I have a question for you, all of you. What can you do with thrifted jumbo knitting needles other than knitting jumbo items? Keep watching and you're gonna find out.
This is How You Do a Red, White, and Blue, a Can't Sleep Creations collaboration. Joining me tonight is Monica from Up All Night DIY and Jody from Jody at Southern Seasons. You're going to find the links to their channels as well as this fabulously loaded playlist in my description box below. Now let's see how I do red, white, and blue. We're starting with natural confetti. This project starts with me outside. I am walking along the sidewalk and the road, picking up these little seeds that fall from the trees. I've already collected quite a few, but I need a whole lot more. We just had a rainstorm and it blew a lot of them out, and I'm picking them up. This is the only time of year they fall, is in mid to late May, and I am making sure I get quite a few for this project. Here are my little seeds that I collected, and I actually have more, but this is a nice bunch right here. But I wanted to show you the variations in the colors, and they're all coming from the same tree. Some have a little green tint. There's some that look more natural and wheat color, and there's some that have a reddish tint to them. The three variations in color will kind of dictate what I'm doing for the next step. I keep all my little plastic containers with lids if they're decent for projects just like this. I have filled 2 of those plastic containers with warm water, just warm water, and now I'm adding food coloring. This is the gel food coloring, but so it's safe, right? Like you could eat this. I am filling 1 cup with the blue, and I'm filling the other cup with the red. Now I have found that the more gel you put in, and this of course makes sense to everyone, the deeper the color you're gonna get. And the longer that our little seeds soak, of course, they're gonna become a deeper color. And that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give both my little cups a stir. Then we're gonna start adding our little seeds. The seeds with a little bit of a red tint, I'll put in the red cup, and the ones with the green tint, I'll put into the blue cup. We'll keep the little wheat natural colored ones separate at this point. Stir them gently and make sure they all get covered well with our gel water combo. Once you have them all in, put the lid on and let them set overnight. Here they are. Let's check this out. My seeds have sat overnight, and now I need to check on them to see if they have gained the color that I was after. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's simply amazing. They are definitely red. I'm not a big fan of bright red, so I'm glad I left them in the amount of time I did. I like muted colors, and these are absolutely perfect for me. Now, let's take a look at our blue. Looks good so far. Give them a little stir and pull them out, and boom, 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 we've got blue. Oh, so cool. This is so cool. I am so excited about this project. You know, this would be great for kids. Just make sure no one's wearing anything that's super special, and if it gets ruined, you're upset. But this would be a great project for kids. They can help you pick up the seeds, and they can help you dye them, almost like Easter eggs. But for summertime, how fun. This would be great for weddings and any party in general. But can you imagine a wedding? Do some beautiful blues and even like dusty pinks and gorgeous purple. Ooh, pretty, so pretty. Now I'm gonna get the rest of them out, and I'm gonna sit and let them dry until they are totally dry. Another way I do a red, white, and blue is with my fashion accessories. As you all know, I love to coordinate. Not only do I do it with my decor, but my fashion and fashion accessories as well. So for my summer accessories, I decided to choose some fabulous items from Teddy Blake, New York. This little gem is the Kim Stampo 14-inch handbag in blue jean. Yes, a blue jean. So there's my blue. Teddy Blake has obtained a team of designers from well-known luxury brands. They use premium Italian leather that is dyed and treated to withstand the test of time while maintaining its luxurious appeal. You can smell the leather. It is so fabulous. The details on these bags are just beyond. And they are truly made in Italy. Their experienced craftsmen work in the same Italian factories where other luxury brands are created. I have paired my handbag with the TB Zip Wallet Stampo in dark red. And to finish off this fabulous red, white, and blue ensemble is the TB Card Holder Stampo in light gray. These bags are for people like you and me, people that love quality, luxury, great design, and a product that will last, but at a reasonable price. You'll find the links to shop Teddy Blake New York and to follow them on social media in my description box, along with the coupon code TBDAWN10 for an extra 10% off. Yet another way I do red, white, and blue is to transform thrifted items into decor. Quite a while back, I picked up this butter cookie tin for $1. I love when I get things for $1. It makes me happy. I am going to use this little tin to hold some other items I will be making. So my first step, of course, is going to be painting it. And to paint it, I need to prep it. So I busted out the podge and I'm going to give it an entire coat, just the outside, of course, of the good old matte Mod Podge. I will clean that lid up really well, and it also will get a coat of the matte Mod Podge. Once I'm done, I will set both pieces aside and let them dry thoroughly. My Mod Podge is dry, and now we can paint. I am using a plaid paint. It is Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint, and the color is Tuscan Red. So darn pretty. I love this color. I've used it a couple times and I'll be using it again many times until it's gone. As you can see, I am being very careful not to paint the entire can. I am trying to leave a little blue stripe at the top. You can see there's a little ridge there, and I'm trying real hard not to go over that ridge. So I will be painting the entire can with the exception of that a little stripe at the top, and then in the back where the can is actually put together, there's a metal strip there as well, and I want to leave that exposed. I feel by leaving some of these areas unpainted, it will add to the illusion that it wasn't painted and was like this all along. And of course, the lid gets painted as well. This actually took me 3 coats to get it all the way covered, to get those graphics so they are gone. Once I finished that 3rd coat, I set it aside and I let it dry, and then I jumped into Canva. I want my can to be a vintage fireworks can. My plan is to mimic a Black Cat firework label. So that being said, I searched a lot of things in Canva and I found little fireworks. I found a black cat. I searched Black Cat and Black Panther to come up with this kitty cat, and I liked him the best out of many that I found. And then I added a black cat. I made my little cat smaller and I put him in the corners. I added the stripes with the stars around the side and a border of red and a border of blue. I also added all those individual fireworks behind. I had to change the color of many of the items to blend with the color that was originally that stripe on the top of the can and the can itself that I painted that Tuscan red. I did print out 2 different versions of my label, but I like the one on the right the best. I think it looks more vintage for what I'm after. And this is the back label. And I added the little caution and whatnot. And then I did some coordinating labels to go down the sides of my can. And this is for the top. That's for the top of my lid. I will cut all of these out and then we will Mod Podge them into place. I'm starting with the lid. This will give me a real good idea of where I want to place all the rest of my little images that I created on the base of the tin. I made the top label a little bit smaller than the top of the lid itself so that some of that really pretty red would be showing. Once I finish the top of the lid, I set it aside and let it dry, and then I will move on to the base of the lid. Everything is getting a coat of Mod Podge after the labels are on. I offset the front label so the back label would sit right next to that metal strip that I didn't paint. Now to make some fireworks for inside my little tin. These are the 3 jumbo knitting needles I'm going to be using, and they are going to become bottle rockets. First, I need to cut that little base off. So I use my clamps. I love my clamps. I use these things for everything. Sometimes just to hold things in place. Not because I'm doing anything in particular. Maybe I'm just painting. I think everyone should have a nice pair of clamps. But in this case, I'm actually going to be cutting off the bottom of all 3 of those jumbo knitting needles. If you noticed what I paid for these things, they were a song. They were $1.49 each. $1.49, yes. And I got them at the Goodwill. So I'm using my coping saw to cut off the bottoms of all 3 of my little rockets, soon to be bottle rockets, and I'm filling the cavity with some of that high density foam that's made for insulation. I use this stuff all the time. I highly recommend you give it a whirl, not only to fill like cracks and little spaces like this, but to make actual decor out of. It's very handy to have around, so pick up a can and give it a whirl. Once all 3 of my little rockets are filled, I'm gonna set them aside and let them dry. Once the foam has completely dried, I cut off the little edges from the bottom that have expanded outside my little rocket because that needs to go. And then I give it a little bit of a sanding so that it's nice and smooth. Once all 3 of my rockets are prepped, I move on to the podge. I get the podge back out and I give all 3 rockets a coat all over, every bit of it, even that little foam on the bottom. We are gonna paint these, and this is a slick surface, and I wanna make sure my paint adheres. The 2 blue rockets are going to, I should say, the 2 blue tipped rockets are going to be blue. I am painting the top of the rockets an apple barrel Ward blue. It is a matte acrylic paint. And the base of those 2 rockets are going to be painted a plaid folk art home decor chalk paint, and the color is Glacier. The 3rd rocket was going to be blue as well, but different tones, but I changed my mind after I started painting it. So the 3rd rocket is going to be blue on the tip as well, and the color is Ink Spot, and it is also a plaid folk art matte. Now, the base of the rocket, the majority of the rocket, is going to be that Tuscan red that we used on our tin. So it will coordinate beautifully. The one I'm painting now is that gorgeous Glacier chalk paint. My jumbo knitting needles need more than just paint to pull off the fact that they're trying to imitate a bottle rocket. So what I did is I created a little round emblem, little black cat grr, to go on each one of them, and some stripes to go down the side. 3 stripes for each rocket. Now this dowel will get inserted right there, about that deep, because that's how you stick these in the bottles, right? And this will act as its wick. This is just wax cord used in making jewelry. The stick and the cord will be hot glued in, and my images will be Mod Podged on. Now I'm going to use some thrifted cardboard rolls to make some firecrackers. I paid $1 for these at my favorite resale shop, and now they're going to become firecrackers. Yes, firecrackers. How fun. First, I'm going to start by filling them with that high density insulation foam. This is going to expand inside here and make it a nice solid firecracker instead of something that you could step on and squash. We do not want that. We want a nice solid little cylinder. So once I fill them all, I'm going to set them aside to dry. And then, just like our bottle rockets, I will trim off the edges that have expanded outside that cardboard roll. Once they are all trimmed, I bust out the podge yet again. How many times is that tonight? Woohoo, podge. I am going to coat all of it, even the foam, on the top and on the bottom with a matte Mod Podge. Then I set them aside and let them dry, and you're not going to guess what's next. No, we're not painting next. I am going to fill in those little lines that go all the way around down like a candy cane, that little ridge with some lightweight spackling. I don't want to see those lines. They have to go away. So I will fill in the lines, I will let that dry, and then I will come back and I will sand it smooth. Once I have them completely sanded and nice and smooth, yes, now we can paint. So I'm busting out a really pretty color. This is Flamenco Red. Lovely. All 7 of my little firecrackers are gonna get totally painted in this color. They will actually be getting 2 coats of this Flamenco Red. Red. This is clothesline. I mean, literally clothesline. You go and get a little bundle and people use them on clotheslines outside to hang your clothes on. Do people actually still hang their clothes out to dry? I don't know. But here nor there, back to the wick for our little firecrackers. I am going to use the bottom of my paintbrush, just an old scuzzy little paintbrush, and I'm going to push it down inside and kind of give it a wiggle, and then I'm going to glue in a little wick, a little piece of that clothesline, just like that. I am gluing them in place with 3-in-1 glue. Once all 7 of my little wicks are inserted, I'm going to come back with some lightweight spackling and fill any grooves around the firecracker itself and the wick, and then I will let it dry. Then I will come back and touch up that little area with my flamenco, oh yeah, I'm going to say it, red. So once I'm done with my paint touch up, I'm going to set these aside, and what are we going to do? We're going to let them dry. Then I'm going to coat all of it except the wick with a nice coat of matte Mod Podge. We all know I keep empty cardboard boxes because look at all the things you can make with cardboard. It is limitless. I even one time made a little basket out of cardboard. In this video, I'll leave the link in the description box. And right now, I'm just going to take this little cardboard box and I am going to disassemble it and flip it inside out to make a blank cardboard box, all ready for me to create something. I don't want to have to paint the whole thing, so best thing to do is to get fresh cardboard. Look at that. Look at that. My bends are already there, and all I have to do is flip the entire thing inside out, re-glue it nice and tight, and then I can paint what I want on the outside or Mod Podge something. In this case, I have I've downloaded, then uploaded a photo, an image of a very, very old package of fireworks. So I threw it into Canva and I sized it, and I'm gonna put it on this newly formed little box. I did add the 2 panels on the side where it says Big Noise. I color matched the label with that blue, and I found a font that was very similar to the original Big Noise on the front. Now the second page, I totally created the back using color matching and similar fonts, and then I printed it out on cardstock because it will become its own individual smaller cardboard box. I think my little bucket needs a couple more elements, so I decided to make them out of flour clay. I made the word boom out of flour clay, and I am going to be painting it in that ink spot to coordinate with the can and the top of my one bottle rocket. I also made a little pop, and I'll be painting that as well as those little quasar stars in a yellow ochre. Then I'm going to put this little number all together.
My projects are complete, and now it's time for me to show you how I do red, white, and blue.
We went from a thrifted butter cookie tin to a vintage-inspired Black Cat fireworks tin. That's the back label that I created. From nothing, I just took inspiration from the original Black Cat itself and went from there. And there's the top. I love it. And you can open it with ease, not a problem at all, because remember, I did not paint that top lip. And so glad I left that blue stripe. Look at the contrast and how much more realistic this looks, like it really might have been a vintage Black Cat tin. There's our front. I added that little 24 variety pack image, as well as a couple stars. And there's our sides. There's our sides and the back. And you can see I even left that metal trim on the side there right next to the back label. And I left the metal trim at the bottom. So it really does look authentic. I think the extra labels around the perimeter really add to the authenticity of what this little tin might have been if it were real. And once again, there is our top. Now, let's take a look at our bottle rockets. From 3 thrifted jumbo knitting needles, we get these 3 authentically fun, retro-looking bottle rockets. I love them. I absolutely love the medallion, the little stars at the bottom and the stripes going up the side. And with that little stick and the fuse, it looks like you could really light these and celebrate however you do red, white, and blue. Now, let's take a look at our little firecrackers. From simple cardboard rolls that were thrifted to these adorable little red firecrackers. Boom, boom, boom. How cute. I love these. And there's our vintage and vintage-inspired big noise firecracker packages. Look how nice they came out. They both look vintage. I love it. Let's take a look at all of my little firecrackers and bottle rockets and extra goodies put together in my vintage-inspired Black Cat tin. Grr. Grr. There you have it. That's how I do red, white, and blue. I basically made an arrangement out of all the little items that I created, and I filled in any gaps with 3 colors of crepe paper streamers. The 3 colors that I actually used when painting my bottle rockets and my little firecrackers and the tin. I used the red, the gold, and that deep, pretty royal blue. The lid is in the back to support the whole structure. My little stars are on wires and they move. If you gently touch this, those stars bounce, almost like someone lit some of those firecrackers. None of this is permanent. All of this can come out and be displayed in any way I like at any time. I'm very happy with the outcome, but there's one more thing we need to see. We need to see that natural confetti. Well, of course, I picked the windiest day on record to try to do this, but we're gonna wait a second and hopefully the wind will calm down. 1, 2, 3, and go. Woo! There we go. Look at that. Look at that spin. I did slow down the video so you could really see it go. The wind was still raging, but we did it. Thanks again to Monica and Jody for joining me in How You Do Red, White, and Blue, a Can't Sleep Creations collaboration. You're going to find the links to their channels and this playlist in my description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share it with family and friends and anyone that likes vintage, thrifting, DIYs, repurposing, Americana, and red, white, and blue. You can follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to check out my shop on Etsy. Leave me a comment. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Don't forget to ring the bell and subscribe. It's a great way to support my channel. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.